We're back again with Matthew Copus, Senior Associate Broker at Hall & Company, and we're talking about professional liability insurance or errors and omissions insurance. Matt, in your opinion, what is the most important thing to understand about professional liability insurance for design professionals?
That's a great question, Carl. The most important thing to understand is that professional liability insurance is written on what we call a claims-made policy form. This means that coverage will only be afforded if a claim is made against the firm and reported to the insurance company during a policy period that is in force, and also which arise out of professional services that are performed after the retroactive date.
Okay. It sounds to me like it would be pretty important to make sure this coverage stays in force. I mean, what are the risks if a firm lets its professional liability insurance coverage lapse?
Once a policy lapses, it's like it never existed in the first place. Even if a claim were to crop up for professional services performed while a policy was in force.
So even if the design work happened when the policy was in force, you need to keep it in force in order to maintain coverage if something happens after the fact.
That's right, Carl.
Now, you had said something earlier that caught my ear. You said retroactive date, and that sounds like that's an important term to understand. Maybe you could illuminate that for the people watching.
This is a very important term, Carl. The retroactive date is typically the date that the firm first purchased professional liability insurance. This date is shown on the declarations page of the policy, and coverage will only be afforded for professional services performed after the retroactive date. Some policies will show a specific date, and some provide unlimited retroactive coverage.
Okay. Now, we talked about retroactive dates and claims-made coverage. Tell me a little bit about the limits that most A&E firms have in their professional liability coverage.
As far as limits, we could never tell a firm how much is enough insurance. We can tell you that 90% of our clients carry at least a $1 or a $2 million limit. Any less than that might not be enough because you need to know that attorney's fees can reduce your available limit of liability. And some factors in what limits a firm might choose would be the risk tolerance of that firm, the size of the firm, their claims history, budgetary constraints, as well as any contractual client insurance requirements. Okay.
It sounds to me you had mentioned the type of business or the risk characterization. What kind of deductibles does this lead to for your A&E firms?
A general guide for a deductible for a design firm would be about 1% of their revenues. The firm should be very comfortable with their deductible, and they should also be prepared to pay it if necessary. Some policies have no deductible at all for small firms, and some deductibles have what we call first dollar defense. And with first dollar defense, the firm only pays their deductible toward damages and not toward attorney's fees. Some policies have what we call a shared cost of defense, in which they only pay a certain percentage of their deductible towards attorney's fees.
Okay, so the deductibles can vary. You should be self-insured in order to pay the deductible. You certainly want to be able to cover that so that you can certainly enact any claims. Okay, we learned about retroactive dates. We learned about the importance of keeping coverage in force, and a little bit more about professional liability insurance or errors and omissions for architectural and engineering firms. I appreciate the time, Matt, and I look forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.